For TV.
Welcome back to another episode of Doctor Who, Too Hot for TV. We're the podcast that looks at all things extended universe. And well, they don't get more extended than what we're doing today. In the first of our festive specials, I'm joined once again by Liam. Liam, how are you?
Ho, ho, ho to everybody listening at home. I feel like the audio equivalent of the second Steps album, The Inevitable Disappointment.
And we're back in the BFI, so you can hear people talking and having a good time and going to see arty films all around us, but we're lowering the tone somewhat here.
There's a man over there looking like Bob Geldof from 1989, so I feel like my curls are quite good in comparison. I'm quite pleased.
Yeah, and he's also got a sort of Sarah Jane Smith thing going on.
I thought you were going to say Sarah Jessica Parker there. I was like...
Horsey face.
Yeah. Well, I know Chris Knott's been cancelled, but Jesus wept.
Now, look, we've got 2 hours of content to get through today.
What content
Indeed.
We have.
So we're going to jump straight in, but first of all, why don't you tell everybody what we're covering?
So, a lot of people, the Chris Chibnall era, let's be honest with you, is very contentious for a lot of people. I quite like it because now, and I'll talk about this more later, because we've got a hell of a lot of log-based content to go through. But retrospectively, I actually think it works as a beginning, middle, and an end. It's actually self-contained, the whole era to itself. And so this, a lot of you guys might know that Jodie had some superb, not so superb New Year's specials. But what I've submitted to the maestro, the grand conductor of the wilderness ephemera, is what I like to think of as the best Jodie Whittaker Christmas special. And she
didn't have any.
That's what you may think, but we've dug deep. We've gone beneath the skin of Belinda Carlisle, and we've managed to find in the shadow of Waterloo Sunset the best Christmas special that Jodie never did.
What's it called?
This is the 13th Doctor Festive Yule log,
and it's 2 hours long.
It's 2 hours long. It's probably the most piece de resistance I believe that the Chris Chibnall era ever did. The anticipation of this is bordering on Who Killed Danny Latimer levels. And it's just literally a 2 hour streamed BBC America, RIP, God bless them, event of a Yuletide fire and a mysterious cameo appearance by a permanently excitable blonde woman. But we'll get there, Dylan.
Well, there's 2 hours of it.
Yeah.
I'll post the link in the show notes for anybody that wants to watch along with us.
Guys, if this is a choice between this and Michael McIntyre's The Wheel, you know where you got to go, man.
So are we ready to raw dog the log?
Oh, man. Bear back me in. I'm there.
Okay.
I'm there.
So if you're watching at home, we're pressing play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're in. All right, so for those of you who are watching along with us, if you care to look up on the top right-hand corner, you'll see the official 13th Doctor miniature transparent police box that was inside the console for so much of her era. It might have been slightly dislodged by Mandip Gill when she was going for the custard cream machine. But it looks like it's in fairly good nick here. We have 3 stockings above the fireplace representing each of the showrunners.
Yeah.
You will see that Russell's actually tried to put a 4th one there, prefiguring his return. And Chris Chibnall's one looks like it's covered by the branches of ITV streaming. So,
have you ever thought about becoming a presenter on QVC? I think you could definitely do that.
Yeah, but I'd be cancelled within 5 minutes. I mean, I've got 19 ex-wives, you know what I mean? That's a lot of alimony. That's more than Chris Eccleston.
So we've got there's a little bauble in the corner.
Yeah,
we can
that's
see
it.
the TARDIS, and Jodie keeps appearing.
Yeah, and we can
Fire's
see
burning.
inside the stockings. You'll see there, guys, the concentric circles, so favoured by so many brand merchandising teams, and the bane of Edward Russell's life for over a decade. And it's just a lovely, homely scene. Now, I've prepared earlier 26 pages of timber-based notes on this that I actually had to be searched by security upon entering this establishment because they believed that I was smuggling a hidden Robert Galbraith manuscript, and I assured them I'm not nearly as controversial as that. But this timber you can see in there, guys, this timber was actually reconstructed by hand by 27 separate Cosgrove Hall animators, sourced by Ian Levine.
Excellent. In India.
In India. He actually has released 6 volumes of his autobiography to fund this. I believe there's a BBC4 Nigel Martin Smith documentary coming up to accompany this. And if you look very carefully, in the flames there, guys, in roughly about 20 seconds, you can actually see the ghost of John Wiles's dignity just appearing.
Is that not something from Philip Morris's Wig and Lockup in there as well?
Well, there's a whole manifest of things
not returned.
that were not returned, but Philip got distracted on the way there. He had to appear on the one show in cosplay as a minor character from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now, this derailed his attempts to successfully transport the final test reconstruction to a silo unit in North Dakota. So, unfortunately, we were deprived of the opportunity of seeing Michael Goff's studio footage. But, we'll get there one day.
Indeed. So this was released in December of 2018. What a time that was.
It was.
And it wasn't even the first one of these. They'd done one the year before. And they also had another little webcast, because it is a webcast.
It is.
Called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," which is another little story featuring the 13th Doctor.
Did that have Santa in it? I believe it did.
I think it did.
But it wasn't the Nick Frost iteration. It was the timeless Santa.
Of course, yeah. Played by John Scott Martin.
John Scott Martin, yeah. They sourced his wig from a travelling production of Puss in Boots in Gloucester, I believe.
So the full webcast lasted no less than 2 hours, with the intent, as stated in description, that viewers be able to relax in a festive mood alongside the Doctor herself in real time. As such, the word log in the title takes on a double meaning, both as burning the log in the chimney and as the video itself being a filmed log of the Doctor's activities.
There's a lot of logging going on there. There's so many jokes, guys, I could make about this, but we got to keep this clean. We got Disney Plus lawyers looking over our shoulder.
Exactly.
I can't. I'd love to. There's so many lines I could make about Thor Herd, but we're not going there.
The Disney money was actually spent all on this podcast.
Absolutely.
We're drinking champagne from the turn of the century.
Yeah.
Eating fargois and lobster thermidor while we do it.
Dylan actually time travelled back to 1992, where we managed to kidnap Adrian Rigglesford and Joanna McCall and get them to give us the set designs for the Dark Dimension Church TARDIS. So, cheers to that, guys.
Indeed, and we're actually doing this. I said the beer fight, but we're actually in Phil Collinson's 6th house that he's bought with
Yeah,
the
he
Disney
is.
money.
God bless him. The tram crash in 2013 sponsored that. God bless the tram and Barbara Knox's head-on collision.
So, news from December 2018 was that the Macra Terror was getting animated. Now, I remember this.
Didn't that end well?
Yeah. I remember this being thoroughly exciting news. And I really like the Macra Terror animation. I think they do good things with it, but some people weren't happy, were they?
No, but it's a contentious statement, but I'm going to go on record here that Doctor Who fans rarely approach a stage of happiness. The only one I didn't like was the one where was it the Web of Fear, where it looked like they'd got the cast of Camberwick Green in to do it. That was good.
There's a weird thing about that Web of Fear 3, where there's a making of documentary and they show the design.
Right.
And they're like 2D, and they look really good. And then they map them onto these 3D figures, and it just looks terrible.
I just remember looking at that, thinking it reminded me of when I was about 8 years old, living in Sligo, and I watched an episode of Nightmare after drinking my father's quota of Baby Sham, and that fucked me up, man, for years, properly. Never quite was the same.
Other news at the time, Billie Piper was returning to Big Finish for her own spin-off series. Now, do you remember when Russell said he was going to have a spin-off with... It was like a Christmas special, wasn't it?
I believe it was called Rose Tyler Earth Defense.
Yeah, that would have been dreadful, wouldn't it?
Well, I think Benjamin Cook was probably going to be playing the Alexander Devrient role, so we probably dodged a bullet there.
But I listened to the first box set of Dimension Canon, and it was actually really good because it was just 3 stories in alternative universes where she's trying to get back to the Doctor, and it does some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it was good character-based drama, and I know I could sit here, we'll talk about Big Finish later, but when Big Finish sits down and actually does character-based drama with a show that by its necessity is all about action adventure. When we get introspective on these, it's peerless. And we'll touch upon that, I'm sure, later. But there's far too much spinning the roulette wheel of saying, we're going to have Corporal Bell fighting Mrs. Hardacre in a remote army outpost in Dulwich. That don't do it for me, man.
Now, do you remember Search Out Science?
Oh, how could we forget? Cedric, where are you?
Now, do you remember the Jodie Whittaker version of Search Out Science?
No, I don't. Was this before or after Sontaran Cupboard Cutaway?
This was on Friday the 23rd of November 2018, Doctor Who's 55th anniversary, no less. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor featured in new pre-recorded footage in an online science class for primary school pupils as part of the BBC's Live Lessons initiative.
My God, my memory just got jogged. Everybody listen, we're part of the solar system.
Is that what you said?
No, I think that was the lyrics that they were doing a dance on there. It was like the S Club Juniors on a 13th Doctor set.
Well, this is a little bit of 13th Doctor that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I'm there. Now, there was a lot of exciting releases at the time. We had the original soundtrack for Class, which featured a bonus CD. I don't know what was on that bonus CD. The Blu-ray season...
Wasn't Patrick Ness reciprocating all claims over copyright, was it?
The Blu-ray season box set was the collection season 19. And then from Big Finish, we had the War Master, the Master of Callus. We had Muse of Fire and the Hunting Ground, the early adventure story, The Crash of the UK 201, and the Bernie Summerfield prose anthology, In Time.
Oh, nice one.
While on television, we had arguably the best episode of Jodie Whittaker's first season, It Takes You Away, followed by arguably the worst, The Battle of Ranscore.
The Battle of Rancid Old Ballbags. Yeah. God, that was off. The only thing decent about that was Lady Jane from Lovejoy. Everything else was just watching Lady Jane from Lovejoy play a Cardassian for an hour. That was entertaining.
Do you know what? I did it for Hamster about a year ago. And in itself, it's not a bad episode.
It's just not a season finale.
It's just not a season. But there are sort of themes within it, like character themes, where you go, okay, that works for these characters. But it's just a little bit lackluster as a finale.
The thing with that is, and it goes back to literally what you just said, It Takes You Away, thematically, is the conclusion of that first season. It concludes the Ryan and Graham Grandad arc. He finally accepts it. He finally verbalises it. Grace gets her epilogue, so to speak, in the form of Kermit, and it's beautifully shot. It's shot like a Lars von Trier film. Yeah. It's a great episode, but that should have been halfway through the season.
And I think there's a bit of misconception that people didn't like Jodie Whittaker's first season. I think what happened is people didn't like the Frog and more fool them, and they didn't like the finale.
Yep.
And the other episodes, were largely greeted with a sort of, this is great to, this is all right. But because it ended on such an anticlimax, everyone just sort of went, wow.
See, I get why they've done, from a scheduling perspective, and of course, you touch upon this yourself, I get why they do that, because you're trying to hold back. You've done a whole season where you've divorced yourself from the continuity of what I've got, by 2017, exceptionally tangled. And you're holding the Dalek back for New Year's Day. And I totally get that. I totally understand it. But, Samuel Winstanley the 14th and his face full of nectar-card teeth is just not, it's not enough of a hook in it. But there's some great bits in Battle of Rancid Old Ballbags. There's the scene with 13 and Graham,
Yeah.
which I think is arguably, I would say, one of Jodie and Bradley's top 3 moments together in the first 2 years. That's beautifully written.
Yeah, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Now, the thing for me was, I didn't mind Tim Shaw was back, but really what we needed was the Stenza as a mass threat, because we've heard about them as a threat throughout the series. So you go, well, get a whole army of them, on Mad Kolos, but they're going to invade the Earth or something like that, and all of a sudden you've got, it suddenly feels like a finale,
Yeah, you're building stuff up there thematically. You're getting there, but it was just it reminded me, dear viewers, of both, shall we say, self-gratification and the movies of Alan Parker. And my media studies teacher once said, "It's fun while it lasts, but afterwards you wonder why you bothered," which I thought was an appropriate epitaph for that particular episode.
Do you think Chris Chibnall was right to lose the Christmas specials?
I think Chris, being a very astute kind of media operator that he does, was continually trying to change things up. Now, ironically, his decision to put it on a Sunday, retrospectively, did actually work quite well, because it created a whole new generation of people that were watching it post something like Countryfile, and it created, whereas you and I would kind of have, Doctor Who opposite Alan Bradley being knocked down by a tram in 1989. For those children and teenagers, they associated it with...
Stop. Sorry, we've just zoomed in a little bit.
Have we?
We've just zoomed in a little bit.
We haven't missed the leaf that's been sourced from the set of Mordane's Castle, have we? Because if we've missed that, I shall become incredibly suicidal.
I'm sure it'll come out. There's a lot of leaves falling outside.
I see them. That particular leaf there was actually rewritten by Ben Aranovich, because it disrupted the Merlin canon of Mark Platt's novel. So for those of you there who would want to just see that, you can play it back again. It's a very, very introspective moment, and it moved me beyond measure.
Sorry, you were saying about...
I've completely lost my thread. So, and it created a whole new generation of people that were watching it on a Sunday post-Countryfile, and it created its own mythos. So I get that. It was... Doctor Who then became that last hurrah before you went back to school on Monday morning. Yeah. So I totally get that. He's very astute. But Chris Chibnall, for me, really works when he's doing the character-based drama. It's just some of the sci-fi stuff he tends to get a bit out of kilter. Yeah. So Resolution, for example, I absolutely love that scene with Ryan and his dad talking about the microwaves. Yeah. That is beautifully written. Yeah. And then you're watching a scene where Charlotte Ritchie has decided to take time away from the ghosts and have a couple of tentacles on our back that don't look at all phallic, and we fall off a cliff a little bit.
Well, I thought Chris Chibnall and the Daleks well. I thought they were suitably menacing, and he's trying to do something different than them just showing up.
I must admit, I do adore, and I think I oscillate between Rosa and Eve of the Daleks as my favourite Jodie episodes, and I think, ironically, for an episode that was born out of necessity, and it essentially is just 4 characters in a room with a couple of guests, I think Eve of the Daleks probably takes it, because that's beautifully written. Yeah, that's a beautifully written episode. For those of you guys watching at home, I've just noticed on the tree, if you cast your eyes to the far right, you'll see a red bauble there. Now, that bauble was actually originally monochrome and owned by Marcelo Camargo. But, unfortunately, after its colour scheme was leaked on the internet and then denied by the then editors of Doctor Who magazine, we actually painstakingly coloured it back in.
And he had to sell this, didn't he? Because he got fired for leaking 5 episodes.
It was a very sad story. I believe he's now house sharing with John Levine in Salisbury somewhere.
One thing that moving Doctor Who to a Sunday night did for me was that I was more likely to watch it live. On a Saturday, I was often out.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, I was always in.
Yeah.
So it was quite a nice end to the weekend.
Well, I almost think that Matt Baker was Jodie's missing companion. There are a number of episodes that I think could have been improved by just a nice panoramic landscape and just a tractor making its way lonely through. Nikolai Tesla's Night of Terror with a tractor in the background would have been fucking god tier. But yeah, I loved it. Was very narratively, it's very uneven, but when it's good, that era is great. Ironically, again, born out of necessity, I think Phlox is superbly written. I think probably you got too many narrative threads there for the vanquishers to properly tie up in one go. But I mean, those first brace of episodes for Flux are amazing.
I would argue that the Vanquisher ties up as well as any RTD finale.
It's very Journey's End. I mean, I personally, I don't see why we had to have multiple Jodies in that. I think that muddies the water a bit. You've got too many characters as it is. But you know, any story that has Barbara Flynn in it, you know, shaking off the spectre of Beiderbecke to destroy half the universe, and the time it took the Monitor, I'm there for it, man. It was
absolutely
great. Flux, I'm well here for Flux.
Amazing.
Yeah, it does. And I would say probably not bettered yet.
No, well, certainly not.
No.
And judging by Christmas, the Ghost of Christmas Future, it doesn't look like that dinosaur's going to threaten
the dinosaur. No, but you know, you can't argue that we are graced with a real star in Nicola Coughlan this year. I will repeat that, viewers, for you know, listeners from the future, a real star. And I look forward to seeing you all on social media on Christmas Day to discuss that. Anyway, moving on.
So I think Chris Chibnall dropping the Christmas specials was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I also think I think it was time to bring them back when he came back. I mean, he said it himself, they'd sort of run out of they'd done all the big ideas.
Yeah, sure.
So I think it was nice that we didn't get bogged down.
Dylan, we've just zoomed out.
Oh my God.
We've zoomed out, and there is some sort of confectionery on a plate on the far left.
What is it? Are they giant custard creams?
Yeah, could well be. Could be, but we've zoomed out. This is big stuff.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of news anchors reporting on King Charles going into his coronation. And if you look carefully, just burning on the fire now are the original audio tapes for season 27.
Oh, hang on, look, what somebody's walking on. Oh, it's a pating.
We have it.
With the shadow of a pating.
The shadow of a pating.
Coming soon from Big Finish.
Yeah, well, there's going to be they're paring it down. They're only doing 4 box sets, but there is going to be a live interactive experience at Cadogan Hall with Paul McGann in costume as a pating.
And it's an Eat All You Can competition, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first 5 rows have actually been booked out by the East Redditch Doctor Who Appreciation Society.
And Tony Selby will be doing a pudding eating competition at the end with Colin.
R.I.P. Yeah. He truly, that man puts his sablam all through the glitz. This actually reminds me, the custard creams here, of some confectionery. I haven't told you this, Dylan, so I was recently at Littlehampton International Comic Con.
Of course you were. Where else would you be?
I was, and Show Graspers I got a platinum diamond super duper pass. I only had to mortgage 2 of my properties for it.
Did it mean you could sit on a chair that Peter Purvis once sat on?
Well, I got to be insulted by Peter Davison, who told me that I hadn't got enough pennies to afford his signature on my very peculiar practice script. And then I was waiting in line for a group photo shoot with Gordon Tipple, David Agnew, and the ghost of Innes Lloyd. But unfortunately, Innes was delayed due to some roadworks that were taking place somewhere in Redditch. So, unfortunately, Diamond Super Duper Pass holders were sent home with just their socks and
shocking.
Some pick and mix.
Yeah. When will they learn?
Well, I'm booked for the next 16 conventions, so I've clearly learned from the lesson.
Exactly. You've already booked in to have your photo taken with the 15th and 16th Doctors, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, no, the 15th's done. 16th and 17th.
16th's done. Well, the 19th Doctor is actually Jacqueline Josser, but you didn't hear that from me. I actually asked her to sign. Oh, we zoomed back.
Yeah, sorry.
Where are we now? Where are we now? Oh, in the narrative. Oh, yeah. If you look carefully, viewers, there, you can see... click if you've got interactive technology. If you go to the bauble on the far right, there's actually a Easter egg there of you being reciting Charles Dickens' The Signalman by Christopher H. Bidmead, with him playing all the parts, directing himself, and a commentary about how he actually managed to convince Charles Dickens to write it.
Brilliant.
So, Mark Gatiss, you got your work cut out. A ghost story this year, man. You've been out Bidmeaded.
Now, do you know what I always thought was a shame? I know contractually, it was all about the showrunners had to write the Christmas special.
Yeah.
I know that's slightly changed this year, but it's an ex-showrunner.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought like, give them to somebody else. I think Mark Gatiss would have wrote a terrific
absolutely.
special. And he who must not be named, Gareth Roberts, when he was still in Vogue,
Yeah.
I think would have wrote a fantastic Christmas special.
Absolutely. You know, I've always said I'm one of those people. I try really hard, and it's a bit difficult in today's day and age, but I try really hard to separate the art from the artist, you know.
Indeed.
Otherwise, realistically speaking, as my late father once said, if we were to kind of go in hard and fast with all that, we'd have to dismantle the Great Pyramids because, you know, that stone was not moved by a tractor and Matt Baker, you know. So,
But I think we can all agree that closing time was terrible.
it was awful. It was awful. I mean, he should have been cancelled for that alone. It was awful. But, you know, I mean, to be fair, and it's a very sorry state of affairs when James Corden is your best thing in it.
Yeah, and the moment for me was them trying to cram James Corden into a cyber suit.
Well, clearly.
As somebody who's recently bought, is a bigger man myself, you know, and has recently bought a Cyberman helmet.
Right.
I can confirm I couldn't get my head inside a real Cyberman head. So,
Well,
there's no way old Corden is either.
No, he should have just asked Michael Kilgareth. His one extended outwards inside a Telos tomb.
Indeed, but they wore baggier outfits.
They
back
were,
in the day, weren't they?
they were. You know, it had to be contained within the Acton Hilton, so necessities had to be made.
Is Doctor Who a show you necessarily associate with Christmas, even before there were Christmas specials?
Without kind of getting too esoteric here, so I think we kind of, I know we joke about it, but I think we have the most elastic format of any show ever. Now, Doctor Who can do great Christmas stories, but I don't think necessarily that Doctor Who at Christmas should be about the Doctor. I think it should be about the institutions of Christmas, where you effectively have the Doctor in it. So, you know, I think when we, and it's interesting because of the nature of event television, in the last few recent years, especially in the Moffat era, Christmas automatically began to equal a regeneration.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mistake. I think Christmas should be about the Doctor kind of parachuted into a story and almost being a bit swept up by events. I think when you make it about the story, about the narrative, about canon, about our history of it, then I think you lose something, you know, because you have to bear in mind there are people that are watching Matt D'Angelo get sent down on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
They don't give two fucks about Matt Smith spending 85 years on Trenzalore. You know, admittedly, it's Trenzalore. Matt probably uses a euphemism now for the Chiltern Firehouse. Well, that's an entirely different state of affairs. I think that it works for Christmas, but you have to have the right vehicle for it.
Yeah.
It's pointless writing a Doctor Who story about the Doctor at Christmas time because you've got an audience that, you know, 95% have just kind of switched off from life.
Yeah. The regeneration stuff never worked for me at Christmas. No. And again, would have been much better as a New Year's Day special.
Well, from what I understand, Time of the Doctor, for an example, was originally supposed to be, I don't think the whole thing would have been Trenzalore, but I think that what I was under the impression of is that was going to be the narrative arc for Matt's next season, building up to that.
And then Hollywood came a knocking.
And then Hollywood came a lot in. Ryan Gosling said, shave that bont. And that was the end of that. So we had 60 minutes in a wig.
Yeah. And I'm sure they said somewhere that it came in at 90 and they thought they'd get an extra 30 minutes.
Yeah. And BBC One said, we ain't cutting Mrs. Brown's boys, you're done.
Not for this shit.
Not for this one. We've got Brendan O'Carroll on a severely new contract. We don't want 25 minutes of a weeping angel in the snow. Go away.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because also, like, I'm not a big fan of Series 8, and that, to me, felt like Moffat, who apparently was planning to bow out with Smith at the end of the season, suddenly found himself going, oh, I've got to introduce a new Doctor and come up with a whole new storyline, which I was not expecting to do.
I mean, without getting too kind of deep into the kind of here's, whys and wherefores of it, because that'll be a later date, I'm sure. I mean, I do like Peter Capaldi's Doctor, but I think fundamentally, I think it's a very good conceit that you're trying to make the character go on a journey. You could effectively say in narrative it's PTSD after Trenzalore, but you can't introduce your new Doctor to be that much of a prick. And potentially throw in.
It didn't work last time, did
it? It didn't work. Funnily enough, it didn't work in '84 when Nicola Bryant was on the floor, and it didn't work in 2014 when we're pushing robots onto Big Ben. You know, you got to sit there and think, man, this horse has been flogged. It ain't working. I would just point out, guys, if you look carefully inside the globe of the TARDIS at the top right, you can actually see Caroline Skinner attempting to persuade Tom Baker to be driven at 4 a.m. from Sussex to Rothlock to film The Day of the Doctor.
I don't understand why they didn't just put him up in a hotel just outside of Cardiff, because that was always the thing of like, well, you can't stay near Cardiff, so people will know you're there.
Well, I believe that those questions and more are going to be answered in the forthcoming real-time production, Who on Earth is Caro Skinner? Disclaimer, guys, it's probably not, but Keith, if you'd like doing it, give me a phone. The Ron Dudes, please. Thanks, man.
Do you have favourite Christmas specials?
Yeah, I mean, I like... And it's, ironically, it was never meant as a Christmas special. If you've got the season 2 DWM companion, you'd know that originally it was kind of, I think it was probably episode 6, episode 7. I think The Runaway Bride gets the balance just right, because that's very disposable for Christmas Day. It's almost written like a late 90s, early 2000s Jim Carrey vehicle. You know, it's very slapstick. You've got a great villain. It's very disposable. And narratively, in retrospect, it sets up huge amounts. It gets the guest star balance just right. So I think, but personally, a lot of people made it, and I think it's underloved. And yes, Mr. Ford, if you ever want me to do it, I will happily sit down and discuss it. It's got to be The Next Doctor. I love The Next Doctor. And I think how clever is that you've taken a incarnation that's been at this point on telly for about 4 years, and is beloved by the nation. You know, I mean, DT at this point was the nation's darling, and you're almost retroactively reintroducing regeneration through the back door by having an other incarnation come in. It's almost a shame in a way that Jackson Lake wasn't, because in the post kind of Timeless Child landscape, you could just easily say that Jackson Lake was the 987th Doctor, and we'd accept it, you know.
I mean, it would be fascinating. I thought, you know, perhaps they were going to try and do this with Shooty Gatwa. If you didn't have a regeneration, but you introduced the Next Doctor, and it was just somebody far in the future. Yeah. I mean, I believe, and I checked this out. I think you can see it, guys. I think it's still on the Writers' Room website. So Chris Chibnall's original script for Power of the Doctor ends with Jodie cross-legged at the top of Durdle Door in a very kind of Barry Letts meditative Buddhist pose, regenerating, and you don't see the end of it. Yeah. Which may well come up again in the not too distant future. I don't know what you mean.
Neither do I.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been an interesting way to end it, and then they could have jumped to. And there was a whole thing about when Gatwa was cast that the idea was like the in-universe explanation, which was never explained, and maybe it was in a script, or maybe this is just fat bollocks. Right. We've zoomed out.
Oh, where are we now? Let me have a quick
We've
check.
Got the biscuits back.
Good.
Any more potatoes?
Nothing's been consumed.
No.
However, it does look like, I've just noticed now that for those of you guys who want to just zoom in on this, if you look on the top left of the side of the fireplace there, you can actually see some hieroglyphics. Now, in ancient Gallifreyan, that particular saying, now my Gallifreyan is a bit rusty because, you know, I'm still tired after Loughborough Comic Con extravaganza. But that, hang on, what have we got?
It's the Kablam Man.
It is the Kablam Man. And I will say, viewers, as a disclaimer, this is the actual Kablam Man, not Chris Chibnall at the rap party for Power. Although, you never... Oh, and he's gone. He's gone. Quicker than... He was in and out of there, quicker than my 9th wife's alimony. Anyway, Gallifreyan symbols. If you look carefully, it says there, "Come back, Bill Hartnell, all is forgiven."
Which, of course, we've all got on T-shirts.
Absolutely. Annika Wills is selling them, I believe, on our website.
Yeah, 45 quid a T-shirt. Not bad.
That's
for
wonderful.
An old Fruit of the Loom.
Well, you know, I've had worse.
But so I was saying, the thing of Shooty Gatwa is that so that David Tennant's 14th Doctor was supposed to lead a full life.
Yes.
And the effect the Toymaker had was that the 15th Doctor was brought
forward from the point of regeneration. Yeah, that, I heard that.
But it's never really explained. So
no, but I believe Russell, in his infinite wisdom, or maybe it was one of his Instagram sound bites, was on holiday in Venice recently, and posted some wonderful photographs of his holiday, and actually said that he had now considered it canon that the 14th Doctor drowned in a canal in Venice. So, guys, if you see next year that Shooty Gapper's Doctor is going on a location recce in Little Italy, and he's got some water wings on, you be prepared to say goodbye.
And shortly after that, Rusty Davis said, if you didn't pick that up, you're stupid, and quite frankly...
Well, yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, if we look, there's Jeremy Clarkson's elephant in the room. Anyway,
do you have any favourite Doctor Who festive gifts you've ever received? Any favourite Doctor Who Christmas?
One of my catapulting ourselves back in the mists of time. Oh, we've zoomed back in.
Zoom back in.
Catapulting ourselves in the mist of time quicker than you can say Peter Grisham wants a meeting. When my late father, R.I.P., as I've said before, guys, I'm a member of Generation Alan, and that would have been the 1992/3 repeat season on BBC Two. I remember vividly watching those, and then, of course, after Battlefield, that was it. You know, I felt like I was bereft. It was like I'd had a relationship that had ended abruptly and I've been ghosted, which has never happened since. And so obviously I was kind of on a Doctor Who kick by that point. So I remember that being the 30th anniversary year. Now this, I believe, I don't know if I've told the story before, where my old father smuggled me as a underage child into Panopticon.
Right.
Which is great, because downstairs, I believe it was the Radisson in Heathrow.
The 93 one?
The 93 one.
Mm-hmm.
That was an exhibition.
Yes.
Now, upstairs was the convention.
Yeah.
Now, my father was a man whose idea about rules was, shall we say, bordering on the fluid. He was to rules what Benjamin Cook is to hair care. So I remember we went to the exhibition. It was great, you know, there was lots of helmets there and David Banks. And so we were going around, and John Pertwee came downstairs and did his little cloak and dagger speech, and proceeded to flit upstairs in the hope of funding a new autobiography. And I realised there was something going on upstairs, and I said to my father, you know, how can we do this, not knowing about the mercurialities of, you know, actually paying for things. So my father proceeded just to take me upstairs, where we were met at the top of the escalator in the hotel by Peter Miles. That's not a euphemism. He was actually there, who seemed very excited to see me and hear about my adoration of Nider. Again, not a euphemism. And anyway, cut a very long story short, Peter Miles suggested to us the way to walk into the convention hall, unbeknownst to Andrew Beach, where I then proceeded to have about 19 photos taken with the console. Anyway, going back to your original point, which I've diverted away from. So that year, as a gift for that, my father gave me not only the Panopticon 93 programme, but also my all-time favourite Doctor Who piece of memorabilia, which is David J. Howe's 1993 Time Frame.
What a great book.
Amazing.
I had that, and I think it was a Christmas present. I would say between that and then the 60s, 70s and 80s, I used to pore over
them.
I never read them.
No.
Just looked at the pictures.
And Time Frame was great for that, because it was literally just ticket stubs and Radio Times clip-ins and the Lord thy God, thou shalt worship no other before he, Alistair Pearson's textless paintings. And, you know, I as people may know, I've got an artistic background anyway. So Alistair Pearson for me was the GOAT, you know, and those covers, especially the Blue Spine ones, printed there textless. I mean, man, that set me on the path of my own artistic journey. It was great. I love that book to pieces, and I've still got it.
Yeah.
Still got it, and it's relatively in decent condition.
So I had a copy that fell to pieces.
No way.
And so I ended up cutting it up and putting all the Target prints on my bedroom wall.
Okay, all right.
But then I remember, like, when the Works opened or something, there was a copy in there for $5, so I got another one. It's, I think I've still got it somewhere, and it's probably signed by John Pertwee about 47 times.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Was that at multiple versions of his I Am the Doctor tour?
That or various conventions we went to as a kid.
Yeah.
but he was always there, and he'd give you an autograph for free, and then every now and then he'd be like, "This one's for charity. You've got to buy a photo for £5." And I'm like, "I bet that charity is the John Pertwee Christmas Fund."
Yeah. That was the charity of Ingeborg's 17th holiday home. But God bless him, man. I mean, that man knew how to make a buck. And this was the days pre-show graspers, you know what I mean?
Well, I saw somebody complaining about how much Shooting Gatwa charges for an autograph at show graspers, and they said, "Well, you wouldn't get John Pertwee doing that." I'm like, if John Pertwee could charge £200 for an autograph, you damn
John
sure
Pertwee would love the current convention landscape. He would literally sit there thinking he could buy an entire Swedish holiday village based off cosplayers in LFCC.
Exactly. So I don't think we should assume that just because it wasn't a business back then that those people wouldn't have done that, as we can see from Peter Davison's life for the last 20 years.
Absolutely. Peter Davison is not averse to the current convention circuit.
Yeah.
I once asked him why he didn't star in...
Hang on.
Oh, tell me,
is that there's a spy?
We have a spy. We have Anarchy in the UK. Oh, no, sorry, just arachnids.
Arachnids in the UK.
Arachnids in the UK.
A reasonably sized spider.
Yeah, which is similar to a thing that my family priest once said to me when I was graduating secondary school.
Do you have any favourite festive Doctor Who comics?
Yes, I do. I do have some favourite festive, although one is only tangentially related to Christmas. Now, for those of your listeners who are affiliated with the, shall we say, the comic sphere of Who, you'll know that the early 1960s Bill Hartnell TV comics were done by Neville Maine.
Indeed.
And Neville Maine did, although it was absolutely bonkers and it has no relevance in canon whatsoever, some of the most imaginative and off-kilter Doctor Who stories ever.
Bonkers.
And there was a homage to a Neville Maine Doctor Who Christmas story just a few years ago, which was one of my favourites.
I mean, you say a few years ago. It was 21 years ago.
Yeah, well, Dylan, I've gone through 3 divorces by then and several clothes sizes, so, I'm just trying to romanticise my past.
Fair. Well, this was called The Land of Happy Endings, and it was printed in Doctor Who magazine 337, released on the 13th of November 2003, cover date being December, so of course it is their Christmas special, written by Scott Gray and art by Martin Geraghty. Now, news at the time. Evil of the Daleks. The Daleks have been voted the most evil TV villains ever, according to a new poll conducted by TV... Oh, we zoomed in again.
We have zoomed in.
I think when we zoom in, it's chill. When we zoom out, that's when we need to be looking for...
Yeah, I feel a bit like kind of... The zoom in reminds me of when I'm in my psychiatry sessions.
Right.
And then they mention the childhood traumas I had.
Indeed.
And then the zooming out just represents my complete detachment from any sort of reality.
So the Daleks, who had been the most evil villains voted for by breakfast TV show GMTV, narrowly beat Footballers' Wives' Jason Turner.
Well, it was a hard-fought battle, but these were the days where Eamon Holmes didn't have a permanent care-living companion, so we had to make do.
Now, also in the news, which is a little bit of a bigger story than the last one, BBC One controller Lorraine Heggessy recently confirmed her plans that the new series of Doctor Who, provisionally scheduled to debut in 2005, should air in its traditional Saturday night early evening slot.
We love you, Lorraine.
Interestingly, Heggessy also indicates that she hopes to run repeats of old episodes in the same slot before the new series airs. The repeat season will consist of one story for each of the previous Doctors, chosen by the public in polls run by various television listings magazines. That would have killed the show dead in the water, I think.
Well, nothing says come and watch our fantastic new show than watching an edited, cut-down repeat of Mark of the Rani. I'm sure Pip and Jane would have been lovely and very happy with the residuals, but the general public, perhaps less so.
Yeah, the general public aren't astute enough, I think, at that point to know the difference between a new show and an old show.
No, they're not. No, they just think, what is this old tripe?
So I really hope it must have been someone like Russell T Davies who went, no, let's start. I mean, to be honest, I thought they had that programme, didn't they, A New Dimension that aired before it.
But who narrated that? Was
a little-known star called David Tennant.
Oh, that's right. I believe he starred in Broadchurch and has now got enough children to support Harry Kane's next football team.
Indeed, but he was best known to Doctor Who fans as having an uncredited role in Scream of the Shark.
Oh, the thesaurus, the methodology text.
Now, other releases at the time, we had the BBC book Deadly Reunion featuring the third Doctor, Brigadier Benton, Yates and Joe. Marco Polo was released on audio CD by BBC Audio. The Three Doctors was released on DVD with a little model of Bessie with it.
Oh.
The BBC website was broadcasting Scream of the Schalke. And then from Big Finish, we had Exile featuring Arabella Ware as the Doctor, Zagreus and Sharda. The novella from Telos Publishing was The Eye of the Tiger.
That's an eclectic bunch, that's all, if I may say so there.
Indeed. So, why did you choose this particular comic strip to talk about?
The Land of Happy Endings was not only a original story that then editor Caton Hickman commissioned to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the show. Mm-hmm. It's actually encapsulates not only the spirit of Christmas, but also the history of the strip and what it means to the show. Now, you and I have touched on this before, but especially in the wake of the last few years, I think it's quite important to say, people go on about canon. Now, I get it. If you're watching something like Star Trek, I get it. There's a history. We follow a show about fucking time travel.
Yeah.
Every time that man or that lady steps out that box, the previous story's changed. Yeah. So you cannot then say, well, because that happened in 1971, that contradicts what happened in 2024, because it's probably been changed about 982 times by that point. Now, what the Land of Happy Endings does is takes those Neville Maine strips with John and Gillian that a lot of people may sneer upon and say, oh, it's not canon, or oh, it's not right, or it's not representative.
Aren't they silly?
Aren't they silly? Aren't they of a time? Aren't they? There's a lot of kind of perceived snobbery about it. And then, without kind of spoiling the end of it, actually reminds us that those stories and those tales have a responsibility and have led us to where we are now.
Yeah,
Dylan, we've just zoomed out again, and we're glowing. We are glowing.
Is Tim Shaw going to show up?
Well, if it is, I've left £1 under my pillow for my molar. I'm waiting. And look, there's something glowing on the fire. Yeah. Is that just some burning embers?
Or is it?
I actually think it's a disc from John Levine.
That's him getting rid of the Salisbury poisoning.
Apparently so. Yeah, John Levine's Ladybird Book of Novichok. But yeah, the Land of Happy Endings manages to encapsulate everything. Now we've got movement, guys.
Is that the TARDIS?
I think we're being graced by a Type 40. We're out. The lights are out.
The lights are
It's darker than Vince McMahon's career.
Oh my God! It's only Doctor Who.
There she is,
and she's warming herself by the fire.
And for those of you who are cosplayers, this is the exact costume from Fugitive of the Jadoon, Scene 42, that was flown in by Matt Strevens to this remote Norwegian cabin. And she's off. Look at that.
Great to see her.
George, love you, darling.
Yeah,
I'm coming to see you for the 18th time at the Trafalgar Theatre soon. I'll be there, darling.
I saw her crossing the road the other day.
Did you?
Yes, and I definitely know it was her, but it was one of those things where I was crossing the road and I was like, I know that person.
Yeah.
And I was about to say hello, and then I realised it was TV's Jodie Whittaker.
TV's Jodie Whittaker.
We were in the middle of the road, so I didn't bother saying hello.
If you had said that you had a diamond pass and waited by the top of the stage door, you might have got an acknowledgement.
Well, exactly. But there's something glowing on the table now.
What has she left? She's left something behind her.
Silly Jodie. But also, when you sort of doubt it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you had a picture with her, didn't you?
I did.
She was wearing the same hat.
She was got the same hat.
And I was like, it was definitely her.
Yeah. She was. Jodie's lovely. I mean, God bless her. I know we joke about it, but she's great with fans. She's great with, and weirdly, she's actually captures what I like to call the kind of Troughton-esque, freewheeling kind of almost abstract speech of the Doctor, and that is not just the characterization, that's Jodie as well. I quite sit there and happily watch Jodie recite her shopping list, because I think, I want 2 pints of lager, I want some apples, make them proper apples, none of them dodgy ones with a bit of hole in the middle.
She's got the manic energy of Troughton.
Yeah, she does.
Bits of McCoy, bits of Paul McGann and his early big
Yeah,
finishes and
yeah,
the
absolutely.
TV and stuff like that. And it's a refreshing change from, you've just had a dour Scotsman for 3 seasons.
Yeah, and I remember reading a Paul Cornell comment, which will dovetail maybe perhaps what we're talking about later. But he always said that each regeneration is a direct response to the last.
Yeah.
And if you look at it in terms of in narrative like that, Jodie's kind of optimism and sense of fun and sense of adventure is the character making an epiphany after going on a journey of self-discovery about, are they a good person? What do they represent in a world where they've effectively been given a new lease of life, So again, those 3 seasons that she did is about her going on that journey.
Yeah.
Psychologically, I think there's something quite good about a character that can't even speak the name of their species at the beginning, can't talk to their friends about it. And by the end, we're sitting there playing cameos with pensioners on a rock. It's like the season finale of Friends, it's amazing. What a journey.
So, the Land of Happy Endings, how does it handle the return of John and Gillian?
So it's done in media res. So we actually pick up in the middle of an adventure for Doctor Who and John and Gillian who haven't aged at all since 1964. So I'd quite like to know what their skincare regime is. And they're there, and they're in the middle of an adventure, and they land on a planet, and they soon discover something dastardly is going on. But it is literally like you've been parachuted into one of those TV comics from 1964. And such as it should be. The only thing that differentiates it from the Neville Main strips of the time is that you've got a slightly kind of 2D Paul McGann Doctor as opposed to Billy H.
But how do you think the Doctor's characterised? Because it's not the Paul McGann we know.
It's
there
not
are hints of it.
Yes, there is. This is much more of an abstract sketching of the TV comic Doctor. He's much more hands-on. He has his obligatory Gladstone bag. And for those of you who are frantically Googling this while we're watching the log here, that's not a euphemism for a colostomy bag. He's got a trusty Gladstone bag, which he carries with him, and it's got all manner of things inside it. The lost city of Atlantis, the 4th season of Born and Bred.
The 3rd season of Shooting Gamblers Doctor Who.
Well, yeah. And I believe a show grasper's appearance or 7. And he lands there, and he's very much in the spirit of the adventure. John and Gillian are much more go-get-in, and the Doctor is kind of their assistant, for want of a better word. He's the one that's kind of leading the charge of kind of tempering their enthusiasm. So it's not the Byronic, romantic, chest-bearing hero of 1996 San Francisco.
I do love his bag that just has everything you could need in it, fireworks, a light, whatever's in there. And ultimately, it's the thing that's used to trap the villain at the end.
Absolutely.
They put him in a bag.
Yeah, absolutely. So God help him if he'd have landed in 1987 Soho with Paul Raymond. We'd have had a completely different story.
Is this the kind of thing that you think a comic strip should be doing? And do you think the TV show could do things like this?
So, The Land of Happy Endings, to use a kind of an analogous example for me, reminds me of a Darren Morgan episode of The X-Files, where it takes the format and it just uses slightly different narrative spin and examines it and deconstructs it in a different way. So I think absolutely there is room for a story like The Land of Happy Endings in contemporary Who, especially in its Disney iteration, where you can use a slightly different perspective or a different narrative framing device to tell a very different type of story. So yeah, I think that it does a lot of things, and for a story that really parachutes you in from the off and tells you about takes you in the middle of the adventure, I think actually it says a lot about where Doctor Who was at this point in its history. We were in a lot of kind of pre-2005 angst about what it was going to look like in its Heresy iteration. And I think that's manifested here. I think you've got a story that is about romanticising the past. Yeah. It's about looking backwards, and it's about trying to find a way forward where you can take the ideas of the past and carry those with you in a way that leaves you confident for the future.
And it's also pre that idea of like being obsessed with nostalgia, like a lot of TV shows and films are at the moment. So it actually, I remember it coming as a little bit of a shock to me when I first read it, because I would have been 20 at the time.
Right.
Going, well, this is my Doctor Who comic. It's my favourite run of the comic strip. I mean, like, what is this? But by the time you get to the end of it, at the end, you know, the Doctor wakes up, goes to sleep in the TARDIS, wakes up, and then the art is back to him in his normal TARDIS. Yeah. And it's this sort of very solemn moment.
And there's a lovely couple of frames at the end where he sees that self-same Gladstone bag sitting under the Richard Houdelin console. Yeah. And it just reminds you with a sly smile that what we construct as dreams and reality is probably not as quite as deliberate as it would appear. Yeah. And that, for me, is the message of the show at this point in its life, you know. It is what it is. The show, the future is, well, what will be, and it doesn't denigrate the past. It doesn't shit on the past. It literally is, to borrow a phrase by Phil Siegel there, a kiss to the past while pointing a way forward. And I think it's one of the most classic examples of the Scott Gray and Martin Geraghty iterations of that time, and I love that Paul McGann era. For me, that I'm not sure I love Big Finish. That's my Eighth Doctor, you know. And this is a shining example, and that's kind of why I wanted to cover it today, because that for me sums up the spirit of Christmas. You know, Christmas for all of us is tied in with our pasts. You know, it kind of takes us back to a more innocent time. You know, I lost my father a couple of years ago on Christmas Day. So, and he always loved Doctor Who. I've spoken about this before. You know, he was the one that got me into it. So, for me, to take a framing device of looking back at like nostalgia of times yore, and then using that to kind of reiterate not just the spirit of Christmas, but the themes of our show. Yeah, I think it's great, and I think it does. I think it's one of the best examples of the form. It is
a time for reflection, and I think about the sort of what I perceive as the magical times of Christmas as my youth, to the perhaps more disappointing ones of my 20s and 30s, when, you know, much like everything, the sheen of sort of the magicalness of things is taken off, and you just think you're faced with the stark realities of people aging, people dying, people moving away.
That's it.
To get a little bit somber.
It does,
But Christmas can be a somber thing, I think, you know.
Well, it certainly fucking is when you turn on at 9 o'clock at night and all you've got is Michael McIntyre's the wheel on. Jesus, that's enough to drive anybody to a point.
We are living in the dark dimension.
We are. We need Joanna McCall to come and show us some clippings that Adrian's got in the garage.
Should we talk a little bit about Martin Geraghty's art?
Yeah, it's amazing, and what he does there. Anyway, as your listeners probably know, I come from an artistic perspective myself. I do both artwork and tattoo sleeve designs for people, so I'm very versed in kind of visual iconography. I remember watching a documentary in '89 about the Tim Burton Batman film, where he was talking about those images, those burning images of pop culture, the Coca-Cola can, Marilyn Monroe, the Royal Lichtenstein, and the bat symbol, and the Doctor and the TARDIS, and that visual image of that timeless police box and all those incarnations, that sits up there with it. Martin Geraghty understands that this is a love letter to Neville Maine, but as the strip goes on, there's just small little visual hints about the style that he has and the house style of the strip at this time that just kind of gives that sense of unreality. And it's beautifully done, and it's beautifully handled.
It's the use of shadows and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is.
That you wouldn't get in the 60s ones.
No,
that are a bit
and
more
it grows with each page until that lovely shot where we effectively morph from the 2D McGann to the sleeping Eighth Doctor in his dishevelled, you know, no toy TARDIS. And I believe night has fallen outside, Dylan.
It has, and it's snowing as well.
It has. It is snowing, and we're zooming. Look at that. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Well, I'm in a state of kind of anticipation here that's bordering on that when I proposed to my 9th wife. But for this moment there, just for the briefest moment, we actually caught a glimpse there of the timber that had been flown in from the It Takes You Away cabin that they specially sourced to burn for this fire.
Indeed.
So a lovely little point there.
And can you not see a bunch of pulped Eighth Doctor adventures taken from that orphanage in Eastern Europe?
Yeah, and actually, if you look at the lights at the top, these little known fact here, viewers, were actually recycled from faceless Grandma Connolly figures that were taken from a branch of Toys R Us somewhere near Stroud in 2006. So they came to a good use in the end.
Nothing says Christmas like a faceless Grandma Connolly, does it?
No, absolutely.
And of course, it's Scott Gray's script. We've talked a lot about the ideas behind it, but the script. You think the script works as well? Scott
Gray's a genius. I mean, Russell T Davies has been recycling The Flood for nearly 20 years now. Scott Gray. I remember, and I've spoken to Gary Russell about this. My first issue of DWM that I can remember was number 203, Fact Fans, which was an Invasion of the Dinosaurs cover with John Pertwee. Lovely Alistair Pearson one.
I know exactly the one you are talking about.
And, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but it was an episode of Warwick's Grey, as he was then, Final Genesis, which was a 7th Doctor Bernie's Ace Silurian story. Yeah. Jinx, Gary Russell. My abiding memory of that is, and Gary, if you were listening to this, I have told you about it. He's not. Okay, cool. He's busy in Cardiff. My abiding memory of this is that on the front cover, Dylan, as you recall, it said, there was a little box out on the artwork, and it said, exciting news about the return of Doctor Who. Yeah. Now, I knew the Dark Dimension was coming, and I was this bang on, we're going for it. Open it up, page 7, page 8, whatever it was. Black and white page 8, yeah, Dark Dimension's cancelled, lads. Guys, I haven't been so disappointed since I was in year 8 and Zoe Maltravers told me that Billy Gulliver was taking her to the roller disco. I was never quite the same.
I was the same last Christmas.
With Zoe? Christ, okay. She was busy.
With all Adder.
Yeah. That's why they call her the Dimension Cannon.
Did you have much more you want to say about the Land of Happy Endings?
Just that I think it's probably one of the best examples of that latter 8th Doctor run. It's up there with The Flood. It's up there with Sins of the Father. And it's up there with a story that I think is probably the template of most of the interpersonal relationships between the Doctor and their companions, which is Beautiful Freak, which is a great one-shot about Izzy coming to terms with her new body after being blasted into atoms by Destry. A very similar thing happened to me in Sheffield once. But yeah, it's a great example of the form. I believe it's in the Flood graphic novel.
It is indeed.
Which is available on eBay for the small price of if you want to remortgage your garage. But it's well worth checking out, guys. Well worth.
Excellent. So is it a clanger, a banger, or an average meander?
I'm going to go, this is up there with the most clangiest of clangs. Yeah, it's a grand one. Well worth checking out, guys.
Not a bangiest of bangs?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, Christ, Jesus, I've had so much coffee. Yeah, it's a bangiest of bangs. Christ, sorry, Scott.
Agreed.
I'll put a check in the post.
It's an absolutely fantastic
it's a banger.
strip.
Certified banger.
Indeed. Now, we're a little over... Well, we're just about to reach the halfway point of raw dogging the log.
I can't believe it.
How are we enjoying this log so far?
Well, that fire is still burning, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen a flame burn this hard since I was going through my old magazines and found David LaChapelle's 1999 Rolling Stone with Britney Spears. That flame has been burning ever since. But this is like the Duracell of flames, this is.
It's beautiful. I mean, it just keeps going. No one's even had to put a log on it.
No. I mean, Joe just come in and just kind of reignited it. But to be fair, that was her own fault for blowing it out with her Type 40.
Well, indeed. But yeah, I mean, I'm having a whale of a time. I think this is certainly her best Christmas special.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Chris Chibnall has redefined what Christmas is here.
Yeah.
Who needs a slightly overlit dinosaur and Jonathan Harris in a suitcase when you've got... a fire that refuses to go out and Caroline Skinner's old socks.
Well, the thing is, Christmas specials are all very fast and very pacey. This is
This is mellow.
This is mellow. It's taking the time.
This is very country foil.
You know, I'd quite happily sit down and eat a turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
And stuff my face full of chocolate orange and selection boxes while enjoying this fantastic.
I'm
tale.
actually this year on Christmas Day. I don't know what you're up to, Dale, but I've actually conducted a séance with Michael Cray's Malcolm Hulk. And the unwritten scripts of Lovejoy season 7.
Excellent.
So this is perfect background viewing for it. You know,
exactly.
Perfect for me.
You know, Michael Craze will be great company.
We owned a pub. He was grand. He was used to people talking shite for a living. He'd have loved the podcast era.
So, do you have a favourite Big Finish story that is Christmas?
Well, it's a funny thing that you should say that.
Like I don't know.
It's almost like we have a narrative structure to our log. Tying in with the Christmas theme, it's a very niche, very specific entry into the audio oeuvre. I'm going to use that word again because I quite like how I pronounce it. And it is a episode of the Big Finish release, Circular Time, written by Paul Cornell and Mike Maddox, although the episode I'm highlighting here for entry into your esteemed pantheon is written by Cornell alone.
Indeed.
And it's called Winter, funnily enough.
Indeed. Part of the Circular Time collection, released on the 20th of January 2007. As you mentioned, written by Paul Cornell, directed by John Ainsworth, and produced by Sharon Gosling. No relation to Ryan.
No. I shall ask him next time I see him.
News at the time, the Daleks would be showing up in the next season in a mid-season two-parter. Oh, we've zoomed out.
We're zooming.
We're zooming.
We've got nothing glowy on the table. Oh, but I believe I've just seen a falling star.
Oh, is there something going on outside?
There was a falling star that just viewers fell about 3 minutes ago, which means we've got Tim Shore falling to earth again, or Keir Starmer's just said that there's no more winter fuel payments. It could be one or two.
Or it's Russell T Davies falling down in fans' estimations.
Yeah. No, it didn't fall that quickly. It was more of a gentle canter.
I see. So, yeah.
Are we kablamming again?
Kablam's back.
And you know what? Look at him. He's resplendent.
I think this one is the Christian version.
It definitely, because you can see Matt Strevens operating in behind. And he's gone. Look at that. Quicker than you can say, where is my new theatrical production? Chris is off.
So, the Daleks were announced as having a new two-parter. Very exciting.
Very much so.
Ultimately became Daleks in Manhattan. The two-parter that almost finished off Helen Rayner.
And launched Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
So one star's in Descendant and the other's on its way to Manhattan.
Indeed. And originally scheduled to be written by Stephen Moffat.
I did not know this.
Yes. Stephen Moffat was asked to do it. He said he didn't have time because he was working on Jekyll or something.
Right.
And so he said, can I just do the budget-saving Dr. Light episode, which became Blink.
I wonder what happened to that episode.
Indeed.
It's been forgotten.
Now, this will sound familiar to you.
Go on.
As this issue went to press in early December, the BBC was yet to officially confirm whether Doctor Who would return for a fourth series for BBC Wales, and whether the successful spin-off series Torchwood would return for a second run in 2007. However, much encouragement comes from words of the BBC's Director General Mark Thompson, who spoke about both programmes on a recent visit to Cardiff. Mena Richards, the controller of BBC Wales, and her team are flying at the moment, said Mr. Thompson. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of both of Doctor Who and Torchwood. There's a lot of admiration and a bit of jealousy elsewhere in the BBC because of the success here.
Hey, here.
Now,
And we were in our White Album phase by this point. This was the Imperial part of RTD1.
That's true. But also, I've got my views, and I'm sure you've got yours.
Oh, of course.
But ultimately, for people wondering about Season 3, we didn't know about Season 4 around the same sort of time.
We didn't. We had no idea what was coming around the corner.
But it's not coming back, guys, so...
Yeah. Sorry. You've had your thing now. You have to deal with McFly and Sharon Osbourne finished it off with their cameos.
Indeed. And other news, BT brought back Tom Baker as its message voice from the 1st of December. 2p for every text going to shelter. So it was a special version brought back for a few months only.
I recall this.
Good times. And the man who played a policeman in Planet of the Spiders Part 2 died and his name was Chubby Oates, and I just thought that was a great name.
Oh, what a great name that is.
R.I.P. Chubby.
We've all had a moment in memoriam of our Chubby. Anyway, but moving swiftly on. But I will just interject there to say that I have many decent memories of visiting my late grandmother and grandfather and sending them text messages where I made Tom Baker say strange and saucy things.
Amazing.
I'm not going to repeat them because this is a family podcast.
I'm almost certain there is a Doctor Who fan out there that made their own Doctor Who audio with that thing.
Yeah, wasn't Bill Baggs, was it?
Quite possibly. If you are that fan, write in and we will cover it on the podcast.
Yeah. Tom, when being you on the phone just isn't enough.
Other releases at the time. It was the launch of the Companion Chronicles from Big Finish, so we had 4 of them: Frostfire, Fear of the Daleks, The Bluetooth, and The Beautiful People. Elsewhere from Big Finish, we had the 8th Doctor and Lucy Miller story, Blood of the Daleks, the very first one.
I believe that starred that was a great cast. That was Hayley Atwell, God knows what happened to her, and Mrs. Brian May herself, Anita Dobson was that one.
Yeah. Who's never been in Doctor Who.
Who's never been in Doctor Who, and is most certainly not the White Guardian.
But there won't be a Black Guardian. It'll be the Guardian of Chaos.
It will be the Guardian of Chaos, yeah. The Guardian of Cancellation.
And the White Guardian will be renamed the Guardian of Privilege.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who don't understand what we're doing, there is a manual online to be read.
Elsewhere on television, we had the finale of Series 1 of Torchwood, End of Days,
yeah.
And elsewhere, New Beginnings, we had The Invasion of the Bane on BBC One.
Now, I recall, and we might be going on a bit of a tangent here, but isn't there a character in Invasion of the Bane? Is it Kelsey? Who's one of the... And that girl, I did a deep dive on TARDIS Wiki looking at Invasion of the Bane, and my God, they did some things to that character. I think she becomes an agent for Faction Paradox, has 96 shadows, erased her own grandfather by waking up and eating cereal or something. God knows what they did to her. I mean, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was some serious stuff done to that character.
The Kelsey special coming soon.
Oh, please do.
Books-wise, we had some Torchwood books. Another Life, Border Princess, and Slow Decay. Never read any of those.
No, but I was just sitting there thinking they actually sum up different parts of the Royals in the last few years.
Then we also had the DVD box set New Beginnings, featuring the Keeper of Traken, Logopolis, or as I've written here, Blogopolis, and Castrovalva.
Now that contained, guys, I'm going to shout this out because I love it. I love Chris Chapman dearly, but this hasn't been beaten. Although I do like Showman. The New Body at Last documentary,
fantastic.
Which is Logopolis is my favourite Doctor Who story. That is totally my jam. Amazing documentary. And also the reason why I had the words "I don't like a beacon" tattooed onto my ankle. Fact fans.
And that was hosted by David Tennant before he was even the son-in-law of Peter Davison.
Was he just carousing for relatives at this point?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Because it wasn't until the next season that he met George Shirley.
No.
And they didn't get together till sometime after that as well. Yeah. So he was just a fanboy.
He'd only just literally got his time crash out. Halcyon days.
Indeed. One of my favourite episodes of Confidential was that one about fandom that was like fans hosted by David Tennant.
Was that the one where he directed it as well?
Oh, did he direct it?
There was one that he did called Do You Remember the First Time?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's really bad that I remember that. I shouldn't be I should be remembering things like my national insurance number, not that.
I think it's the only episode of Confidential I've ever rewatched. You know? Yeah.
But it was also back in the days when Confidential could actually license decent pop songs, and you could repeat them, and you'd actually have it. I mean, to this day, I always associate the end of Eccleston's Doctor with the montage of Snow Patrol's Run, which has never been. You can't even find it on YouTube now because I think once the main man Gary Lightbody had finished kind of tapping off Monica Geller. he said that was not to be used on any more Have a Fantastic Life. So that was lost in the annals of time. Great shame.
They've never released the full versions of Confidential.
No, and then they did a 10th Doctor when DT left. They did a scale, like a similar montage to Take That, Never Forget.
Of course they did.
They did.
But hang on, are they on the iPlayer info?
But I don't think that it's those songs. I don't think. It's elevator music in the background.
Where's Matthew Purchase to tell us about those? He died.
He's a legend.
Indeed.
He's a legend.
Then the comic strip was The Warkeeper's Crown, featuring the 10th Doctor and the Brigadier.
Yeah. What the story we should have had in the writing of Sarah Jane Smith. Bless him. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been around about the same time. Maybe about a year later that Nick Courtney was asked to be in that. But yeah, that's great. And especially that lovely last frame where he's saluting the brig.
I know.
Amazing. Martin Geraghty at his finest again.
I think it was a huge missed opportunity. I know he was getting on a bit, but certainly if you could bring Sarah Jane back in that second series of... there could have been a story there. It
was so close to being done. I think Nick was just unwell when they filmed Wedding of SJA.
Yeah, oh yes, of course.
I think he was unwell, but I think it was that close to being done that he was going to be in it. I mean, how active he would have been, I don't know, but he was definitely going to be amongst the congregation at the end.
Sad times.
Yeah, bless him. R.I.P. Nick.
So Circular Time, a winter. Can you remember when you first heard this?
I can. It was, and we're talking the pre-Josh Snare's animation era here. There was somebody that put up I believe a ripped version of it up on YouTube for about 3 days before it got taken down. And I think I heard the first 5 minutes of it. And for reasons that I will get into, I was so entranced by the concept that I actually immediately went out and bought the CD, which I still have to this day.
Excellent.
Signed by Peter Davison, who I believe only charged me £20 and glowered at me for the privilege. So I feel that was money well spent.
Called you a cunt. But there you go.
But most people do that anyway. It's just habitual. I'm kind of used to it by now.
I heard this when it first came out, and I don't think it made an impression.
Really?
Which is weird, because
the story or this episode?
The whole thing.
Okay.
I think maybe I've got to... I mean, I can't remember what the other episodes are like, but I think it's quite well thought of.
It's quite atypical with Big Finish at the time, is that Big Finish at the time, we were getting a lot of stuff. We're post-Sir Greyes here. We're in the early years of the Nick Briggs administration. And it was very
eternal.
Very much so, yeah. God bless him. Yeah, he puts the cur in Kablam. But it was a lot of action adventure stuff. It was kind of a lot of 45-minute episodes like Blood of the Daleks. They were trying to retool the 8th Doctor Adventures to kind of make it very kind of audio analogous to the TV series. And Circular Time is a complete oddity. Circular Time is basically like 4 audio decalogue adventures, cutaways, if you will, in the 5th Doctor's life. And at various points in the 5th Doctor's life. Which brings us nicely to winter.
Indeed, and I must say, coming to it this time, I had the completely opposite experience. And maybe I did like it at the time. It's just, there's only so much information my brain can retain.
Yeah.
But I thought this was absolutely fucking brilliant.
Isn't it? And we will get into this, but it's so... I remember listening to this, loving it. And then, let's just say, I don't think it's... we're zooming. We're zooming. And there's the falling star. Look at that.
Yeah,
right on cue, quicker than an Andy Murray 13th Doctor announcement during Wimbledon. But who's coming in? Is Matt Strevens coming in? Is he going to be performing a dance to Fraser Hines' I Want to Spend Christmas with a Dalek?
John Levine, is he going to sing us a song?
John Levine is currently busy presenting Most Haunted with the spirit of Derek Okora. But anyway, moving swiftly onwards. Circular Time, for me, it was... a revelation, and I don't think it was an accident that Paul Cornell was asked to novelise.
Oh, the spider's back.
Can we just call him? Let's just call him Adrian, because he's moving quicker than Mr. Wrigglesford when he saw the CPS.
When he's got a bunch of library photos stuck up his jumper.
Yeah. Would you like to explain to us, sir, why you have 17 pictures of the Queen's Jubilee underneath your jumper? I'm going to Jodrell Bank. I may be sometime. Circular Time for me, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's an accident that Paul Cornell was asked to novelise Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Because this is the natural antecedent of Twice Upon a Time. It's eerily similar in terms of its themes, its structure, its narrative coherency, and of what it says about the character of the Doctor. Winter is, I would say, arguably probably one of the finest things Paul Cornell has written in Doctor Who.
Agreed.
Up there with the Matt Smith Doctor Who comic one-shot, The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who.
Oh, I've not read that.
Oh, we will cover that one.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm not even going to spoil it. For those of you that have read that, you know. But for those of you that haven't, you don't know. Okay, we'll move on. But Circular Time, it's very much the antecedent of Twice Upon a Time. We're zooming.
We're zoomed in.
We're zooming. And all of our we've kind of got mood lights in here. It reminds me of like Noel's house party when John Partry is about to knock on the door and offer Noel some glasses.
I heard he was thick. I thought they were talking about his waist.
Do you know, the funny thing was, Dylan, right? That's exactly the same routine that he did with Sylvester McCoy in 1990 on the Saturday Road Show. To the lines.
If it's broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And I will just interject here, guys, because we're in the ancestral home of the BFI, the Doctor Who collection screening place du jour. And I'm not going to get too much into this for litigatory reasons, but this was actually one of the places where, when I once dated somebody who was in Dimensions in Time, I took them on a date here. And we're not going to go into that, but suffice to say, it was in this very establishment.
Excellent.
Let's move on.
I did contact the BFI about trying to get this shown on the big screen.
Right.
But unfortunately, they were busy showing Box of Delights.
Justin Johnson apparently was trying to get the log to do a Q&A and a sign-in on the upper mezzanine level.
Of course.
But the log said it was waiting on its glossy 10x8 photographs to be delivered from Snappy Snaps.
I do have it on good authority that when the Season 7 box set drops, they are going to insert the log digitally into every episode.
Thank God for that.
Exactly.
And that's not Fernanda Molo, by those of you that are thinking. We're not discussing her.
So, if someone hasn't heard this before, what is Winter? What's it about?
So Winter, we begin with a man and his wife living in funnily enough, a remote cabin in the middle of a blizzard. Yeah. It's almost like I've planned this. And that man and his wife are played by Peter Davison.
Heard of him?
Convention guest du jour. Even-tempered man. Nothing peculiar about his practice. And his wife, and they are enjoying a very sedentary kind of winter. There's a very severe blizzard outside, and they've got their two children sleeping upstairs.
What are they called?
Tegan and Adric. Unusual names. I believe they were named after Hollyoaks characters. And the husband, Peter Davison, is concerned about the storm, that it's going to wake the children, and he's very, very insistent that he wants to be kept away from outside interference. He wants them to be removed. He wants them to be kept away from everything. And he's disturbed by the arrival in his dreams of a woman called Nissa.
I'd be disturbed if Sarah Sutton showed up in my dreams.
Well, that's it. That's it. That's why Tom Baker called her Miss Basingstoke.
It's a beautiful story.
It is. It really is.
And going into it with no memory of it, I wasn't sure where it was going to go.
No.
My immediate thought is, why is the Doctor married? This is interesting.
Oh, have we frozen? Oh. Have we paused? Are we just buffering? It's like we're just like Schalke all over again. We're buffering.
Gosh, yeah, we're having that traditional sort of 1990s internet experience.
Absolutely.
We had to dial up originally.
Well, I was literally 2 seconds away from going onto the Cult website and trying to download an episode of Crime Traveller. Anyway, we digress.
So, Doctor Who is there. He's married.
Yes.
Does it suit the Fifth Doctor to be to sort of have this version of himself? You know, a more settled down version.
Yeah, I kind of. Peter Davison's incarnation, I think, certainly of the classic era, is most similar to the complexities of the character that we get in the modern show. Mm-hmm. So and I love, a lot of people don't like it, I love the 2-episode cutaways, so I really adore Black Orchid and The Awakening, because you get to see the Doctor in a normal setting, you get to see him play cricket, you get to see his companions gorge themselves on a buffet. I'm there for that, Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
You
Who doesn't love a buffet?
Absolutely. Well, Matthew Waterhouse, certainly not. You get to see them just kind of visiting relatives. It's very much based in the real world, which I think is essential to anchor it. And Davison's Doctor is very much based in that sphere where you can see him kind of walking into. He just looks like a slightly eccentric cricket fan.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't, if you saw Colin Baker's Doctor walking into Sun Hill in the Bill, you'd either think that there was a pantomime going on or somebody was hosting. Unfortunate choice, but anyway. But you know, whereas Davison kind of blends seamlessly into the background for this sort of thing. So yeah, I think to see his character kind of in this very kind of naturalistic setting, almost a retirement, so to speak. Funny that. I think it really works. I think it befits the best of the character, and it suits Davison's performance, which is really, it's lacking that kind of breathless energy here. It's much more measured. It's much more controlled. And there are reasons for that. And it's a beautiful story about self-realization and about coming to terms with not only yourself, but also the legacy you have on the people around you. I think it's very reflective. It's very melancholic. And I adore My Who when it's kind of introspective with its own format. Yeah. And that's not to say that it's kind of handcuffed by continuity. When I say kind of, I like it being introspective, I don't mean 15 minutes in a 60th anniversary special where we're talking about fucking Magvek Chen. I mean taking the character and looking at what makes that particular version of the Doctor tick.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Winter does beautifully.
And what does this say about regeneration within the Doctor's life?
So it's very much I like to think this is kind of the origin of a lot of the modern way we think about regeneration, is that it's not so much a death, but it's the culmination of a particular chapter in the character's life. So, I mean, we touched upon it before, and this is where the quote I was saying about Paul Cornell, where it says each incarnation creates the next. So Davison is a Doctor who has been very much buffeted by circumstance, has been sweeping through stories, kind of breathlessly going from one adventure to the next, almost in the terms of very similar to the way Hartnell, all the stories were interconnected. We get that again in Davison, and you get a sense of somebody that doesn't really, what would like nothing better than to get a few more instances to just settle down, to play cricket and to kind of settle down with themselves. Yeah. And they're not afforded that luxury. So to see the Doctor almost at journey's end, as it were, reflecting on the journey they've had and denying themselves the reality of their situation, I find actually works, and it's really emotional because of this Doctor. You wouldn't see this sort of emotional story wouldn't be reflective of Colin's Doctor, who's a bit more overly bombastic, and you wouldn't really believe so much of him in a domesticated setting, sat down with a wife and 2 children.
Absolutely not.
But it works with Davison.
So the big twist here is that it's set within the Doctor's regeneration.
Yeah.
Now, if you read a synopsis of this, I would say you wouldn't think that works.
Not at all.
In fact, you would call it absolute fan wankery.
Oh yeah, you would say this is out of TARDIS issue 16 in 1989.
Yeah. But it does work.
It really does.
It works
really
beautifully
does.
well. So how are those elements incorporated?
So this whole entire 25-minute episode takes place within the Doctor's subconsciousness in the last 35 seconds of Caves of Androzani. Basically, this is entirely a hallucination that Peter Davison's Doctor undergoes while he's staring at Nicola Bryant's décolletage. But
I've had some fantasies about doing that though as well.
That's why my companion's book had to be sent to Surbiton Recycling Centre. But we digress. But yeah, so it's entirely set within the Doctor's mind as it is dying, and the Doctor's subconsciousness is reaching out across space and time to his former companions to give them the mental strength to resist the blizzard, aka the Ainley Master's interference, to successfully complete their regeneration. And of course, it's got a guest appearance from everybody's favourite uncle in swaddling, Adrian Gibbs, as the Watcher. Now, seeing as my favourite story, as I've said, is Logopolis, anything that involves a man wrapped in tissue paper beckoning aimlessly across a motorway.
I enjoy how it wraps all those things together, and it's the Doctor reaching out to his companions for help and the Master trying to stop it. Makes sense of that weird little montage, which never seemed odd to me in Caves of Androzani, but it's a really interesting way of viewing that. And I love that it's sneakily, because Amy's still about at this point, but he's refusing to do Big Finish because he wants more money than any of the Doctors. But it's a sneaky way to make the...
I believe he wanted a separate green room for his toupee. And Briggsy said, "You ain't having that, man."
But it's... So you make him the villain without having to... Like, we do hear a chuckle, but...
We do.
You know, that is somebody doing an impersonation.
Yeah, well, probably Briggsy.
Yeah, quite possibly.
You know, channeling his best destiny of the Doctors. Don't make me laugh.
But it's a great way to feature him as the villain without featuring him as the villain.
And actually, whereas, and this is, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of continuity in canon, as I've said before, but what I do like about this is that it adds to the original text. It adds to, you listen to this and then you go back and watch the climax of Androzani, and it adds emotion and it adds weight to what is effectively an epilogue of an action-adventure story.
And you wouldn't do an episode in the middle of Androzani that was like this, because it just wouldn't work.
No.
And in fact, it probably wouldn't work on television at all, I don't think.
And Ainsworth, and I believe the sound was David Darlington, but Ainsworth and Darlington, they do some beautiful things, like when at the very end of it, Davison's figure has resisted the Master's interference and is running headfirst into the Watcher. You actually hear an echo of the sonic boom of that famous discordant day in the life that Graham so favoured with Roger Lim at the end of Androzani. So it marries beautifully, and it is a coda to Davison's time, and it speaks. And Cornell's gone on record by saying how much of a fan he is of Davison's Doctor, and it's a love letter to the Fifth Doctor, and to their version of the character. And I think it's wonderful. It's perfectly within the spirit of Christmas.
Indeed, we've just zoomed out.
Whoa!
I wonder if we're going to see anything this time.
Well, I can't be absolutely certain here, but I believe that there is a plane that's just taken off in the background that's taken John Nathan Turner and Gary Downey to Chicago in 1985.
And I can just hear an angry Anthony Ainley.
Yes.
Just berating them about how much money they're getting paid.
Oh,
there's the shadow of the Pating again.
There it is. It's coming. It's looking like it's doing an impersonation of Miriam Margolyes on our way to a sound studio to do the meet.
To do a voice that's unrecognisable as Miriam Margolyes.
No, and of course that is exactly why you hire Miriam Margolyes, to do a voice that doesn't sound anything like her.
Exactly. What do we think of the atmosphere of winter?
For a story that's naturally, I mean, you're dealing with a hallucination of a dying person. It's very good because it takes those trappings of Christmas and Yule time and winter and blizzard and seasonal discordancy, and it marries that within where the Doctor is in their life. So you would think it's actually going to be a melancholic story. It's going to be very somber. It's dealing with death. It's dealing with rebirth. But actually, I would say it's probably one of the most uplifting stories that Big Finish has ever done. There's a lovely quote at the end where, and if you could ask for no epitaph, better epitaph for the Davison Doctor, where Nisser says that she knows he's still out there, she knows he's still having adventures, and she knows he always will be. Yeah,
it's wonderful. But there is this sort of, there's a slight sort of ghost stories at Christmas feel.
It's very M.R. James. Yeah. The thing in the barn.
The thing in the barn with the banging and the figure you can't quite see, and then you think it's the Master, and then you realise it's the Watcher, and we realise the thing in the barn that looks like a coffin is a zero.
Well, the whole concept of the Watcher, from a visual point of view, is very similar for a lot of M.R. James. Whistle, I'll come to you, and the Signalman. You know, it's all married within that. And I think the Signalman was actually probably contemporaneous with Logopolis, or at least in recent memory of the time. I think it was 78 to 81. So, yeah, I mean, there's some very similar ground being trod there, and it is very much like a Christmas fairy tale short story, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. It kind of it goes over all of that familiar themes, but not enough to think that you're going to end up with a copyright strike.
Indeed. Now, I listened to this last night,
Right?
And I went to bed. I put my headphones on, and the lights were off, and I was immersed in this world.
The soundscape is amazing.
The soundscape, the direction. I was just like, this is what I want from a Doctor Who audio. It's everything I want. It sounds and like, I'm not going to say I was scared, but there was a certain evocative atmosphere.
There's that lovely sense that all Christmas ghost stories have, of that kind of nervous anticipation.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what Gatiss has mined so beautifully with his short stories for Christmas on BBC4. He gets that, there is something kind of quite spooky about Christmas, about its history, and it's the way it can effectively travel us back in time as viewers to our childhoods. And he gets that, and Winter gets that. And it understands that.
Absolutely. And what do we think of Davison and Sutton's performances?
I mean, Sarah Sutton is quite good for what she's being tasked to do in here, which is very much the narrative sound piece of the story, vocalising what is a story that's taken in media res. She's the audience's expectation of that. So within the companion archetype, it's a good, solid performance. Davison, I think, here is one of his very finest turns in the role, purely because for 90% of it, he's not playing the Doctor. He's playing a scared human, regular everyman that is frightened about saying goodbye to everything they knew, that isn't ready to accept the end of a chapter in their life, and is nervous and fearful about what the future may hold. And I think there's something very human in that. I think there's something very Christmas in that. And I think Davison excels with the material that Gornell gives him.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree. I think he's fantastic. I love how Nyssa is used here. And even though I quite like those old Nyssa stories that Big Finish do much later on, part of me wishes this was Nyssa's last.
I mean, there's a whole thing there, isn't there, where, because she's married to a character here called Lasarti, who also accompanies her. Linda Lasarti, yeah. Shortly to be seen in a pantomime near you, somewhere in Biggleswade, I believe. But she's she's married to Lasarti, and it's very much a domesticated ending for the character. And it kind of fits with the way we left Nyssa at the end of Terminus. So I think there is something that's beautifully done here in about how we say goodbye to the character, and the peace that she comes to with the Doctor and where they are in their life. So in a way, I do think it's quite a shame that we kind of had an other iteration of that, and that's not just the Big Finish Cobwebs trilogy. We're also looking at the McTeague regeneration of her coming back. But I mean, I wouldn't give up either of those things. I just think here is a beautiful end to that character.
And I suppose this doesn't necessarily
contradict anything.
No. But I also love it's about sort of, this isn't a fan wanky piece, and it's the little hints and the little sort of, it's the stuff it holds back, like Nyssa talks about to her husband about, it's post-Terminus and the corporation wars and all these things. Now the corporation wars would be part of this box set, and this would be the little code.
We'd have 4 volumes, and the head of the corporation would be a mysterious individual who buys a social media platform and then proceeds to run it into the ground for an orange-haired lunatic.
Indeed. It's a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a ghost story at heart. It is a ghost story.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to say on it?
I don't really, as I say, I don't believe in canon. I don't really believe in continuity. But I would say, if you're a fan of audio Doctor Who, if you're a fan of the Fifth Doctor, and if you're a fan of good Christmas stories, I would say probably, I mean, it's a pale shadow of the log, clearly. But this is one of the finest examples of a winter Doctor Who ghost story that we've ever had in the format. I would say this is up there with Chimes of Midnight.
Agreed. So I'm assuming it's a banger.
This is a Yuletide banger.
Agreed.
I apologise for my earlier faux pas, Scott.
I can't remember much about the rest of the CD, as I mentioned. What else is on there?
There's one where they meet. There's one where they meet Isaac Newton,
right?
And there's one which features a tentative love affair for Nyssa.
Yeah.
And I believe there's one that's basically entirely about the Doctor wanting to play cricket. I think that's Summer.
Right.
I think Summer's all about cricket.
That makes sense.
And I love the whole CD, but Winter is the standout here, purely by the way it takes everything that you know about the Fifth Doctor's era. It takes everything that you expect and those visually sumptuous themes of Christmas and Yuletide and winter, and it adds to the end of the Fifth Doctor story. Yeah. And I think for that, it's the bangiest bang
that you ever will hear.
Yeah.
So
sorry, Michael Bublé.
So we've got about 25 minutes left of the log.
Well, fortunately, I prepared some notes about my thoughts on the David Burton collection box set that's coming out next week. Yeah, it's like I say, I think that the very best Doctor Who at Christmas is one of those things where it manages to take us back to children, and it manages to inform and tell us about what we love about this show and what it tells us about ourselves. And I'm not really a lot of people in Doctor Who fandom are massive collectors. I'm not really a big collector of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of those people that has 986 kind of toy figures. But there is something about the show that I will always hold dear to me. I always say, when people ask me, for me, Doctor Who, and I say this as a young lad coming from Dublin, Doctor Who for me is probably the closest thing that I have to a football team.
Right,
so
agree, yeah.
There are seasons that we are great in. Mm-hmm. There are times where we have a ship manager. There are times where our striker is so off course it's unreal. But I'll always support it, and I'll always be here for it. And it's been a kind of a constant kind of backbone and support to me. Yeah, and it reminds me of the person I once was.
And the person you will be.
Yeah. Oh, and on that cue, we're zooming.
Oh, it's the Sonic on the tape. Oh, is it the Sonic or is it?
Well, it's either that or she's left a radioactive custard cream.
Either way, I'm in.
Either or.
What are you thinking about this year's forthcoming Christmas special?
So, Joy to the World. I do like the title.
I'm wondering how much joy it will bring to my world, personally.
I would say, Dylan, it could be bordering on the slightly under that you had for your last colonoscopy.
She's coming back.
She's coming back, she's done it again. She's actually taken out all the lights, but don't worry, she's going to Sonic that bad boy up.
Yeah, and rebooting the franchise for another 5 years.
Quicker than you can say, we've reshot Tosin Cole's last scenes. She's in it, and she's here, and she's reigniting the fire. She hasn't eaten any of those biscuits. That's too fucking remiss.
Well, she's watching her weight.
Oh yeah, well,
she's not Colin Baker.
No. There's no carrot juice to be had there.
Did they reshoot Tosin Cole's last scenes?
Well, funnily enough that you should say on a segue there, for those of you that are like the minutiae of the Whittaker era, you may remember there's a lovely scene, and she's off Sia Jones. There's a lovely scene in Resolution. It's Revolution of the Daleks, where she has a heart-to-heart with Tosin in the TARDIS. And you'll see for that one scene only, Tosin's wearing his beanie. Right. And that's because Tosin's hair had grown out to a dramatically long extent, and that was filmed later on to add some context to the character's departure and add a bit of emotional heft to it. Otherwise, it just kind of comes a bit out of the blue, because let's be brutally honest here, the way it's written is that Ryan has decided that he's finished that chapter of his life with the Doctor, and Graham almost is basically forced to go with him. Which, from a relative's kind of viewpoint, I can understand that you want to keep an eye on your nearest and dearest. Yeah. But it does really kind of paint a picture of that you're kind of taking away a pensioner's second wind,
But fortunately, they had another light entertainment star just around the corner.
Well,
So,
absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, John Bishop is on tour now, if you wish to go and see him. I don't think he's telling any Doctor Who related stories, but let's face it, there's only a matter of time before he ends up at Chicago TARDIS.
He doesn't do the Comic Cons, does he?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. When he discovers that patio can be paid for, he'll be on it like Flint.
So, Joy to the World, sorry, what were you saying?
Joy to the World, interestingly, Stephen Moffat has described this as his farewell to the franchise. This was, I think, probably about his fourth farewell to the franchise now.
Yes, much like Clara, he keeps nearly leaving.
Yeah. He's kind of like, I mean, I love Moffat dearly. He's a complex individual, and I can't wait till they do the biopic of him. But he keeps coming back. He's kind of like a slightly dementia-ridden postman who can't quite remember if they've delivered your DPD parcel. But I think Joy to the World is going to it's going to deal with a lot of very Moffat-y type tropes, isn't it? We've seen glimpses of a time-traveling hotel with various different doors that open different points in its history. So we're kind of looking at elements there of God complex tied in with Empty Child. I think it'll be very much a Christmas story. It'll be in so much as it will have that iconography. Nicola Coughlan is a great actress. Mm-hmm. She's done some sterling work I'm not biased at all here, guys, but she's great in Derry Girls, which, if you haven't seen it, is a fantastic series, and it features a Doctor Who fan. So there you are.
Does it really?
It does. Dylan Llewellyn's character, it's in the 1990s, and Dylan Llewellyn, funny enough, guys, who would know the person I'm sat next to, Dylan is a wilderness Doctor Who fan.
The best kind.
The best kind. As far as I know, the character hasn't written a book about Bill Baggs' finances. So
but he does have a complete collection of BBVC.
Yeah, but he does. He knows his zero imperative from his Winterborns. But I think that Nicola Coughlan's a great actress. She's just great character work supporting Barbie with Greta Gerwig. She's done great work in Derry, and she and Luke Newton did a great turn for the last season of Bridgerton as the main stars of that. She's a superb actress, and I think she'll add a lot to it. How long would she return to the role? I think she might be too much of a star to come back.
So you don't think this is a Catherine Tate situation?
No, I mean, she may come back for a final scene at the end of Shooty's time or a cameo or something. But I think we're looking, this may be more in the league of a Kylie as opposed to a Tate in terms of the face of the character and its potential to reoccur.
As you say, she's a shooting star. So
she's a shooting star, man. She's ascending to the stars. But funnily enough, which brings us on to Shooty's prices at the next Comic-Con.
So, weirdly mentioning BBV there,
yep.
I associate the Winterborn videos with Christmas because I got them for Christmas.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I think they were released sort of around September, October time.
Right.
So there's something about, and they're set in school holidays and things like that. So there's something about those that I find quite Christmassy. My first memories are of that time. I think I'm probably the only person that would associate Winterborn.
It's probably right. Nothing says Christmas like a demonic headmaster.
Well, exactly.
That's what Terence Hardiman once told me that.
Winterborn.
You see, we've got this all figured out, guys. We're on it. On it like a pigeon on a chip.
The shit I used to send my family out for Christmas.
I'm really surprised they've not legally divorced you, kind of like Jamie Lynn Spears style. It's like, what would you like to do on Christmas? Should we play Monopoly with Nana? No, let's watch Autumn 2.
What do you want for Christmas, Dylan? Derek Sherwin's Mythmakers.
Yeah. I can't wait for them to do a Mythmakers with Keith Boak. I will buy that. And Mr. Brownfather, if you're listening, get that man on. He's literally, that's a story waiting to be told there.
Now, he did do, during COVID,
Tell me.
He did one of the online Phantom events, Keith. And he doesn't reveal much.
Right.
But he does talk about how difficult things were. And I think he did talk about clashes with Eccleston, but in a very sort of roundabout way.
Interesting. Because Chris is nothing if not roundabout. And if for those of you, and I will just say here, Chris has got an amazing autobiography called I Love the Bones of You, which was mainly ostensibly about his complicated relationship with his father, Ronnie, who later passed with dementia. And having relatives who've experienced that, I know how complex a subject that is. But it's an amazing book, and Chris doesn't hold back on his thoughts on Who. And one of the things I do like about Chris is that he's very unsanitized in his anecdotes. So even if you're paying to go see him at a Comic-Con, unlike most people, I would actually say the talk is probably one of the highlights of it, because the man doesn't hold back.
He's not towing a party.
No,
line.
He's not. He's the collection interview that Chris Chapman and Matthew Sweet inevitably do with him will be worth the price of admission alone.
Yeah.
Because he's quite happy to call a spade in that respect,
Or a cunt.
Yeah, pretty much, which he does frequently. Sat Julie Gardner, sat Phil Collinson, and sat Russell T Davis.
While Billy Piper's just sat there.
Billy Piper sat there just wondering if cancelling Call Girl was a good move after all. Mind you, she's no stranger to complicated individuals, seeing as that her ex-husband is now cancelled by Society on Large and Kevin Waitley.
What do we hope we get from future Christmas specials? Should there be any?
Should there be any? Well, I don't think we're going to be getting the magic mouse in them, Dylan.
Oh, you don't?
No, I think the magic... Oh, we're zooming out.
We're zooming out.
If that's Walt Disney's ghost come to chastise us, I retract my previous statement.
It's coming in with a contract and loads more money.
Yeah. If you look carefully, you can just literally see the bulldozers moving in to take the TARDIS set back, piece by piece, to Anaheim, California. What do I hope for future Christmas specials? Stories that actually inform the boundaries of where we can go in the format. And on... Oh. Is she materialising outside? She's outside.
She is. Oh, we saw this at the beginning.
There she is. Yeah. There she is. She's watching in on us.
Yeah.
She's got a contract in hand.
Oh. Is that Nick Briggs trying to get her to sign up for Big? He's done it.
He's done it.
He's only...
Go on, Nikki. And if no, hang on. Jones, don't go just yet. Ian Levine wants to speak to you about reconstructing the massacre. She's gone.
1 minute she's there, the next she's gone.
It's so reminiscent of much of my relationships in life. Which is why I've been relegated to talking about obscure Neville Maine comic strips on a podcast in November.
So, future Christmas specials.
Stories that... do you know what? And we touched upon this in our last episode we did. I think there could actually be some good mileage to be made in just revisiting previous stories and ideas. I think the best Christmas specials with Doctor Who, I think, are variations on a theme. So, The Unquiet Dead is very much a Dickens story.
Yeah.
Voyage of the Damned is very much based on those 1970s disaster movies that we'd watch on the sofa while we were engorging ourselves on Quality Street. And even The Doctor and the Widow and the Wardrobe is a very thinly veiled homage to C.S. Lewis.
What?
You'd never have guessed, would you?
Or
never have guessed.
Even the most famous Christmas story of them all, Aliens, is of course homaged in
Last Christmas. Yeah. Well, personally, and we'll talk about this on a future episode, but I can really connect with that one because there was several Christmases where I had some unfortunate instances with crabs, but we will go on. That's a different story for a different time.
That's when we cover the Macra Terror, right?
Yeah, of course. That's totally what I'm referring to.
I would like to see... I like it when the Christmas specials riff on like sort of existing IP, as you say.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was an absolute missed opportunity that the Goblins were more like the Gremlins, a great Christmas film.
Absolutely.
I would love to see Doctor Who tackle Die Hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think the closest we came with that idea would have been roughly about 2011 when... But God knows who was at the top of the tower in that episode, but that's a different story for a different time.
And Big Finish have covered the Krampus, but I can't believe that hasn't been done on television.
There's so many famous Christmas stories that haven't... I mean, to this day, it almost seems too obvious that we've never had a Who version of the Nativity.
Yeah.
We've never had the story of Bethlehem. We've never had, the traditional nativity story being told. And I would love to see, and this I think would be a very Moffat thing, I'd love to see Doctor Who's Christmas version of Love Actually. Because I think that'd be amazing.
That would actually be great.
It would be great,
Richard Curtis back.
And I think, Vincent's probably my favourite Matt episode. Because I think that not just as a Doctor Who episode, I think it's a great piece of drama, and it says so much about mental health. And if you look at the time, that it came from, a good 12, 13 years away from, increased awareness of mental health and its complexities, I think what that episode says about memory and the importance of empathy, care, and love endures. But yeah, I'd love to see a Doctor Who version of Love Actually, just purely because I'd quite like to see Mark Strickson knock on someone's door and have a boombox with the Beastie Boys on. I think that'd be amazing.
Are there any past elements you'd like to see incorporated, like from the show's history, into Christmas specials? So for me, I think Christmas would be a great time to revisit the Land of Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it'd be a great time to do something with the Autons, with like a new fad toy.
Yeah.
You could do Jingle All the Way, but with Autons.
Oh, and here I thought you were going for literally the Jingle All the Way with a Robo-Man. Now that I would pay to see. I want to see Shooty Gatwa tearing across Chicago with Marlon Wayans trying to get a 6-inch action figure of Grandma Connolly. Now that I would pay good money for. But yeah, there's so many. I mean, we've not seen a Doctor Who version of Home Alone. I think that'd be amazing. The Doctor trapped inside his TARDIS with two people trying to break in. One of them probably not played by Joe Pesci, just because the BBFC would have a field day. I'd love to see a Christmas Doctor Who version of Groundhog Day. We came close in Eve of the Daleks, but I think you could have a lot more fun with that. And I've always said that for me, a good idea for a mini-series of Who, a good idea for a separate standalone story, maybe an overarching thing. I firmly believe that the 1965 version of The Chase, just really simple conceit, Daleks chase the Doctor through time. That's it. That's all you need for a miniseries. That's your 5-part miniseries with Shooty Gatwa there. Do a version of that based in the current day with different kind of parts of history. Have the villain of the week pursue the Doctor through Christmas. Have them pursue that through Woodstock. Have them pursue it through the formation of Stonehenge. Or I think that's
We've done Stonehenge. I think.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, Matt Smith made his Sermon on the Mount. Okay, we'd have to scratch that. But, I think there's so much richness to be had there in those simple... I think sometimes the danger with Who is that we overthink ideas, and it becomes entangled. And your average man or woman that wants to just have a bit of escapism on Christmas Day, after Danny Dyer has been drowned off Walford Sea for the 6th time, it just hasn't got a hope in hell,
Yeah, it's a difficult line to tread, because I'm not a fan of a lot of the Christmas specials because I find them a bit cringe, but also they're the most watched version, and sometimes it's the only bit of Doctor Who people ever see. And
if we're sending that out to the world as our visual kind of postcard to say, come watch our show, I think that you have to make that the most accessible version of the product that you can.
So it's not Time of the Doctor.
It's not sponsored by Bill Bags. It's not Faction Paradox's Ladybird stories. We're not visiting Enid Blyton and asking about the complexities of political correctness. We're just doing a very
fun idea.
Big fun idea. A Christmas ghost story, a Neville Main comic strip, a log burning. It's visually iconography. It keeps us there, and it's in spirit with the season.
Do you remember when End of Time broadcast and Doctor Who was everywhere?
I do.
Christmas?
Yeah. I do. And I remember that the sheer anticipation of it. End of Time is a really curious beast because it's very much it's very atypical. It's very atypical Russell T Davies, and there are some beautiful moments in it. I think the reward sequence is great, but it would actually be more powerful if we hadn't had all of the good boys. I think that the scene in the churchyard with the nobles
Yeah.
And I think the Billy epilogue on the Powell estate is enough.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to see Dan Starkey having a mallet bashed on his head. Sorry, Dan, that wasn't a euphemism. I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think we need to see Russell Tovey in a Canal Street bar.
Just because Russell likes the character and likes the actor.
Absolutely, and we look forward to seeing you next year, Russell, between the war between the land and the sea.
Oh.
But I think, and it's an interesting one, and I was going to touch upon this anyway. So the original version of The End of Time was a 1-episode idea where the Doctor, on the run from his fate after the events of the Waters of Mars, was to land on a spaceship. Now, I've got to get this right because it was in the DWM Collector's Edition for the specials. Landed on a spaceship with an alien family, which I believe Russell imaginatively called the Prosthetics family, with a TIX. And the father... Something was going to go wrong with the ship, and they had to go to the reactor room. So very similar of the climax of Utopia. And the Doctor had to enter the reactor room to save the father.
Well, it's similar to what we get with Wilf in the story.
Absolutely.
There's a big sprawling epic around it rather than...
Yeah, we don't have David Harewood's mobile phone network.
I could have lived without that.
But I would be remiss. I mean, speaking as a purely kind of red-blooded male here, I wouldn't really want to say goodbye to Alexandra Moen in a nightie being dragged through Cardiff Castle, but, needs must.
I don't think that ending would have suited the 10th Doctor.
No.
I would like to see an ending like that.
Well, it's quite similar to Winter in terms of how low-key it is.
Yeah. I do think that, it would be nice to see a Doctor story end like that at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we came close, didn't we, with certain elements of Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah.
But it just became... Twice Upon a Time is a very uneven story. Purely because you're trying to do a decalogue short story in a regeneration, and it just doesn't really work. But having said that, there's some amazing moments of that, like the First World War battlefield stuff is fantastic, really beautifully great. Shot by Rachel Talalay, and really not just good Doctor Who, but good drama.
And I think I'm always surprised that Doctor Who has steered away from the Christmas Carol. I know we've done a Christmas Carol, but to become slightly more introspective and look, it's the perfect time. Forget an anniversary to look back on the show's history.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
There are so many ghosts of Christmas present, past and future, and I think in Twice Upon a Time, that moment we get Bill and Nardole from those glass creatures, that, if there was ever a Doctor who was supposed to meet Susan, it was that moment. It was that moment, and it would have been... I'm not saying played by Carol Ann Ford, but,
Well, it's interesting. People, and we've talked about this before, and Russell's talked about it, there's a lot of talk about bringing Susan back, but that doesn't necessarily mean bringing Carol Ann Ford back. And I think there's a lot of mileage to be had in the idea of, and tying back to the Land of Happy Endings, a relative of the Doctor. I think there's a lot of mileage to be had, and I believe that looking at the sort of way that subtext has become text in The Legend of Ruby Sunday, I think we're going to get a version of that, because I think that's what we're building towards.
By the end of Series 2, do you think?
Well, effectively, Ruby's story is concluded with her finding her birth relative, and I think that Russell may well conclude this Doctor's story with them finding a relative.
In Season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or perhaps next year's Christmas special.
Perhaps next year's Christmas special. Wouldn't that be the perfect dovetail?
Yeah, and perhaps if there's nowhere else for that incarnation to go. Who knows?
Well, you say there's nowhere else to go. But,
Amazon Prime,
but I think that particular incarnation, although being next door at the National Theatre at this point, could well be appearing in the next Ryan Gosling movie.
Well,
there we are.
Yeah. Let's see if Jeffrey Bezos can come and...
Well, it certainly won't be Elon Musk, because nobody will be left on this platform by that point.
So, we're coming to the end of the log. We've got about 1 minute and 20 seconds.
So, guys, I hope, as I said to my 17th wife, I hope that this commentary has been as good for you as it was for us. Dylan's just literally off camera now, slipping into a velvet jacket and puffing luxuriantly on a post-coital cigar
with a glass of Baileys.
with a glass of Baileys.
You've got an eggnog.
I've got an eggnog latte here because I'm a complete slut for them. And I really hope that you've managed to feel that you've been emotionally as moved by this burning timber as we have.
Yes, and I would encourage all of you out there to experience this Christmas special.
Get in touch with your inner log.
BBC America's finest contribution to Doctor Who, I think. It's been quite the experience.
I feel like we've touched each other in ways that perhaps we didn't know we could.
We shouldn't really be doing that.
No, not in front of NFT one, but never mind.
We've got 20 seconds left. I wonder how it will climax.
Yeah,
will the Master show up?
Here we go. This is going to end up with a crash zoom on Colin Baker's nostrils. I can feel it.
We've got less than 10 seconds.
Here we go. Well, guys, this has been fantastic. I've loved every second of it.
Me too. And it just stops.
And we're done. Just stops. As with so many things in life.
2 hours of logging. I wonder if anybody's still listening.
Guys, if you are still here, God bless you, because this is like the audio equivalent of kind of like narcolepsy.
Well, look, thanks so much for joining me.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
The log today and other associated stories. The log and other associated stories also coming soon.
There's your title. That's it. So, in a little postscript to my chat with past Dylan, and past Liam has been asked by present Liam to leave a little note for you to tell you all where to find me, should you wish to, on social media. I only frequent what I believe the youngsters call the gram. So you can find me on www.instagram.com/artfullyliam. That's with a capital A, capital L, like the lesser spotted Andrew Lincoln. And if you want to follow me there, there's all my sketches and various notes and ephemera, although I can't manage that promise that any of it will make sense. Anyway, I'll hand back to past Dylan.
Next time, I'm going to be joined by Luke Malloy and Mark Donaldson, and we're going to be looking at the Christmas songs performed by Doctor Who actors.
Oh my God.
Including John Barrowman's Christmas album.
No way.
We'll also be touching on a little short story called The Christmas Inversion, featuring, amongst others, the third Doctor, Mike Yates and Jackie Tyler.
That wasn't made up by the Big Finish roulette wheel.
And we're going to do Tom Baker reading A Christmas Carol, just because.
That's amazing.
We're keeping on that festive.
I believe he's doing that again this year for the Crime and Company.
He's doing a cameo, isn't he?
Oh, is it pre-film? Okay.
This is him recording the whole story.
Yeah. Wow.
But until next time, I've been Dylan.
And I've been Liam.
And this has been Doctor Who, Too Hot for TV, the Log Edition.
Merry
Ho,
Christmas.
Ho, ho.
Too hot for TV.